So I ended up going to jail. I was supposed to be in there for a month. Hey, how y'all doing today? Welcome back to RV Away. If you're new here, I'm Lil Carl. This video is going to be all about that if you've seen the title. Know me, you probably know I fish. I just turned 23. I live in an RV, but a lot of people don't know how I got here or where I'm from and all that good old stuff, backstory. So we're going to get the Lil Carl lore in this episode, this video, and yeah, go from there. This should be a long one, so get comfortable. Hopefully you can hear the fire crackling. Hopefully you enjoy those good sounds. Where it all began. Good old Alabama. Good old sweet home Alabama. That's where I'm born and raised. I want to say unfortunately, but I play with the cards I was dealt, and I'm very fortunate and blessed. So we are from the deep South, Alabama. Sometimes my accent come out in some videos if you ever watched that long, but I try to kind of cut that out sometimes. I say like Birmingham area. I moved around quite a lot. Just in Alabama though. Just in Alabama for the most part. I want to say I was born in like Birmingham area. Anything I get wrong in this, by the way, my mom will correct me in the comments. So good looking out, mom. I'll go ahead and say that. Cause yeah, it get kind of hazy sometimes. It'd be a lot going on. Jesus, fire is nice. Also, are you new here? Is this like, you know, are you a usual viewer? I know a lot of the audience. Got Rambo, we got Nick, Maritime Unprepared, Gene, some of my family members and stuff like that. But if you are new, I like to know. It's really cool knowing that there's new people here, especially hearing my whole life story. It's kind of weird knowing that people are here, like knowing about me, but I don't even know you. So join the Discord so I can get to know you. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I'm born and raised in Alabama. I went to I want to say it was like a Christian school called Crumley Chapel. If I can find stuff about it, I'll have it thrown up in the video. But it was like a church school. I don't know what to call this. It was like a Baptist school, maybe. I know people have like Catholic schools, so I want to say it was like a Christian school. But we didn't like learn about God stuff though. I think it was an old church, maybe. Don't take my word on this. Like I said, if I can find information, I'll put it up on the screen. But I went to a school called Crumley Chapel from like kindergarten to 3rd grade. And then, so my childhood, from kindergarten to 3rd grade, I lived in the like, it wasn't the country, but we were kind of deep in the woods. It wasn't the country, but we was deep off in the woods. And so we had a little creek in our backyard. We had a fat backyard. I mean, it depends on what you call fat, but it was pretty big. We was able to, it was maybe maybe 20 yards by like 40 or 50, maybe the backyard. It was a nice little piece of property that we grew up on. And so yeah, pretty country. Love to be outside in the woods. So this is just part of my childhood. This is part of me just living my childhood pretty much. But we would always be in the creek. We would always make tree houses out of nothing. Like literally just climb up in the branches, and that's what we call the tree house. Yeah, we just love being outside. There was a farmer right next to us, so it was pretty country. I mean, sometimes cows or horses would get in our yard, and we could literally feed them right over the fence. So it was pretty country, but not too country. Not like in the boonies where we was living away from everybody. There was a Walmart like up the street, kind of still. It's pretty much my childhood. I mean, being outside a lot. My dad worked a lot. He worked a ton. He still work a lot, but I mean, do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Get at your grind, do your thing. And yeah, he worked a lot. My mom, she also worked a good bit. She was a phlebotomist, so she usually worked overnight, actually. So she would be at home to cook for us and stuff. And yeah, she's been a phlebotomist for like 15 years. She's still going crazy, still going strong. And my dad still do what he does, working at the mill and owning a lawn business. And I had my own little lawn venture at one point when I worked in Georgia. What did I call it? Lil Carl's Lil Carl's Lawn Care. So LKLK. It's pretty cool. Kindergarten through 3rd, Curly Chapel, knocked that out. I was in gifted classes in growing up. Gifted classes are GRC. That's why I come so proper. You don't really hear my accent sometimes. I've always loved reading. I've always, like when I was in like kindergarten to third, I was reading like Harry Potter books or finance books. I just really enjoy reading. And so it's always been a big part of my life. Remember, I've always been a little athletic. We used to love to run around on the playground. Different times. Phones and stuff wasn't really a thing when I was a kid. So, oh my. They were a thing. My mom and dad had them, but like we weren't running around with cell phones. I'm like right in that middle generation of like where phones were becoming a thing, but like they weren't our whole life. So yeah, after third grade, I want to see my mom and dad split up, and we went to California. I want to say. I could have this timeline all wrong. Keep this in mind, but I don't think I do. We went to California. We came back. We went there. We went to stay with my granddad, and eventually we came back to Alabama. We stayed with a friend, and we stayed with this friend for a summer. So we went to California for like part of the summer, and stayed with my mom's friend for part of a summer. Because like I said, she was a single mom with like what 3 or 4 kids. I think 4. Single mom with 4 kids. She did what she had to do, man. Put respect on her name. All right. Like Clay Chalkville, I want to say. Like 4th through 6th. I got into band 6th grade. You know, started playing the trumpet. Kind of got into video games a little bit. Excuse me. I played them in like 4th grade for the first time, and it was kind of like an eye-opening experience for me. If y'all don't know, I do be playing video games. That's gonna be up on the Patreon when I get that uploaded. So be on the lookout. Playing some video games, just talking, shooting and yeah, having a good time. So be on the lookout for the Patreon. It's coming real soon. Next 2 weeks for surely. I just got to get videos. I already got it made. Just got to get videos uploaded on there. So be on the lookout. Yeah, so 4th through 6th grade kind of went by fast. Just doing school, you know, being a kid, living life. I played football at this time, I want to say. I also played football, like Little League. And, you know, I've always been kind of small. So that was always interesting. And my asthma was probably the worst time of my life at this point. My asthma and all my allergies and stuff. I think 4th through 6th grade was my worst time for like allergies, asthma, eczema as a whole. 7th grade moved to Calera, I want to say. And went to Calera for the rest of school. But in Calera is kind of where I made myself. I figured out what style was. I figured out what color coordination was. I figured out just a lot about myself, high school days. So still not who I am today, but I figured out a lot. I kept doing band. I became the section leader, high brass captain, and marching band. I had a girlfriend for I think 11th through 12th grade. 9th through 10th wasn't anything crazy. I played soccer. I want to say in like middle school. But I got to high school and my grades weren't the best, so I couldn't continue playing. Even though I was good enough to be on varsity, my grades weren't good enough to play. So stay in school, kids. Stay in school, okay? At least until you graduate. And then, figure out what you want to do with life. Get in a trade or something. But yeah, I was pretty good at soccer, but my grades were kind of lacking, so I didn't play. But yeah, high school was a fun time. I had a vehicle. My mom had given me a Nissan Armada that I used to drive around. And so that was always fun. I had ways to band camp, and I had a job at Chick-fil-A, Burger King, Taco Bell. Worked at pretty much every fast food joint in the area. No, not really though. That was still like Bojangles and the Captain D's. But anyway, I did a lot of little fast food work for the most part in high school, as most people do. That's nothing crazy or nothing new. And yeah, high school was just kind of high school. Like I said, there's not too much. It was a lot of it was just band work, video games, band work, video games. My senior year, I actually got into an accident driving from I was taking a college class senior year, just like a little early course, like an early college course to get a credit. And on my way back, I hydroplaned and got into an accident. That kind of scared me. That put a damper on things. It was definitely a experience. I don't think it opened my eyes like it should have, And yeah, like I said, just continued living life, Eventually, I graduated. Woohoo! I got senioritis, really, really bad, and I was just ready to graduate. Finally graduated. Tried to go to college. I tried to go to UNA, but I also got in trouble with the law. I I got in trouble with the law at this time. I was trying to celebrate graduation. Got in a little cannabis trouble. Y'all know how it be back in the old states of Alabama. And yeah, that threw me for a loop for a long time. Tried to go to college, didn't handle it correctly. Eventually realized college was not for me. And after one semester, I was like, yeah, y'all can have this. And so I left college. I was like, this is just not the move. Left college and was going to try to get an apartment at that point. That was my goal. Save up, work hard, get an apartment. So I moved back with my mom. And just started grinding. Me and my friend I met at college, we both were just on the same type of time. Let me make sure everything is recording, by the way. Yeah, I come back from college and I realized, like I said, I wanted to get an apartment. Me and two other guys wanted to get an apartment, but only me and one other guy was talking about it. We were really planning, really going hard. And the other guy was just kind of like, let me know what's going on. Let me know what's happening. And so I was like, like I said, we grinded. I worked at Walmart at the time. It was like COVID time. And so I was an essential employee working at Walmart technically. And yeah, so I just worked. Also, speaking of working, I worked at Walmart, and every time I would get off at Walmart, I would go DoorDash. So I would work at Walmart from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and DoorDash from about 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. roughly, depending on how the day was going. Maybe later, maybe not as late, just depends. Usually later though. And so yeah, I was grinding. Like I don't think I would get it. Oh, let me show y'all this sky. Wow. Pretty beautiful, huh? Hopefully I didn't mess up the shot too much. I just really wanted to show y'all the sky. It's like pink out here. Anyway, yeah, so I was grinding, bro. And yeah, I would go shoot basketball. By the way, a person I'm talking about, Austin, I don't think he would care if I mention his name. He living a good old life now. He married. He about to have a kid. I think he already got a kid, or he got a kid on the way. Oh, it's crazy, bro. Life be lifing. Life really be lifing. People getting older and stuff. Wild. Anyway, eventually we save up. We get the apartment, and everything is like, let's go. And we start living in the apartment. We live in the apartment, and you know, I'm kind of working, bouncing between. I'm kind of working. Kind of not really bouncing between jobs, but I didn't want to work at Walmart anymore. I realized that I was kind of being taken advantage of, like most jobs do, to young people with a lot of potential. They realize that you'll work hard even without getting a raise or getting paid much. So know your worth. Don't let people take advantage of you. And so yeah, I ended up doing like temp service work, working at warehouses and stuff like that, which was cool for me. Like I said, I enjoy doing that kind of work. And that more so just led into... Wait, I have to tend this fire. Oh no, that's okay. Kind of got like a little stove going. Cool. Can like shove wood in the front here, like a little furnace. But yeah, we got the apartment, living, working, just doing the same old everyone else does. Eventually wasn't very he didn't have a really great work ethic, right? So it kind of came down to us being like, hey bud, you can't really live here if you don't want to pay your bills or make rent. And so yeah, that ended up being like its own thing. And after that, I ended up getting arrested. So you probably like, little Carl, how you get arrested? Yeah, I ended up getting arrested. It was because of it was literally what I got arrested for prior to going to college. Like I said, I didn't go to court correctly. I didn't handle it. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So they ended up coming to my door and being like, hey, is little Carl in there? And knowing what I know now, they had no right to come in my apartment and all this other stuff without a search warrant. But we were just like, I'm scared, and we let them in, okay? And so it was an L. Looking back, you know, hindsight is always 20/20. And yeah, so I ended up going to jail. I was supposed to be in there for a month. They took me in there, and what I had to go for was because I missed court, right? They give you a court date. If you miss court, you go to jail. And so I missed my court date. I go to jail. Pretty simple. It's supposed to be for a month. The weekend I go in there, I don't have an inhaler, and there's no nurse because it's a weekend. Well, because of that, I mean, I have a lot of allergies. So they just give me chicken broth and Jello for the whole weekend. That's it. Chicken broth and Jello. And for my asthma, not squat. Literally, I was in there and I had accepted death. I was like, bro, this is my time. It's my time. Like, I can't breathe for real. It is what it is. Jesus, take the wheel. You feel me? And yeah, I just remember that very, very vividly, being like, if this is it, this is it. Like, I can't do anything about it. Like, it seemed like they don't care. And yeah, so that was the weekend, just the weekend, right? So eventually, people get there on Monday, and I get transferred. They ask me, do you feel in danger? Do you want to go to general population? And I'm like, no, I'm tiny. I ain't doing that. And so they pretty much end up sending me to PC, I think, or PA, something like private something. So you go in there, it's pretty much solitary. I want to say it's like pretty much solitary confinement, kind of. It's just people in their own one cell. You don't get to have like rec time with other people. You just go into a rec room by yourself. And so, yeah, I mean, it's kind of miserable, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want people trying to like mess with me or anything, just where I can get like more time for like doing some crazy stuff. Anyway, I go in there and I'm like all by my lonesome. It's some crazy folks in there, bro. They in there like screaming, banging on the walls. One dude was just screaming obscenities all the time. I literally had to buy me some earplugs. It was that crazy. And dude was just screaming obscenities all the time at the officers and stuff. And so that was miserable. And I pretty much had to start working out and stuff. The usual jail routine. Let me start doing push-ups. Let me get all crazy. Oh, pretty much what it became for me was yeah, I tried to get into a nice little routine, working out and stuff. I was just trying to make the month go by fast. Eventually, once I had some rejuvenation, I would call my mom pretty much every day when I had rec time. I would just kind of call her and talk to her. And at that time, I got a lot. I've always had a church home and stuff, but I got a lot closer with God while being in there. It opened my eyes to a lot of things, gave me a lot of rejuvenation and a lot of conviction. I got a lot of conviction while I was in there. And like I said, just opened my eyes to a lot of things. That I previously just wasn't paying attention to, And, it kind of sounds like that same little story that everybody has when they go into jail or whatever, like getting all woke and stuff. But you'll be surprised. Ouch. You'll be surprised what taking away all of like someone's basic freedoms that you get used to will like open your eyes to, if that makes sense. But yeah, for me, it was really eye-opener, and I learned a lot about myself. I didn't used to eat beans at all, and after that experience, I was eating beans. Like, things, like beans could be worse. Like, they could not have flavoring on them. So being able to be out in the world and putting seasoning on my own food, it's like you start to realize like the little wins like that is what kind of changes about you. I would say is you start to appreciate all the little things, like every little thing you appreciate. And so I think some people do need to go to jail. I think some people are too spoiled and have too many things given to them, and so they need to have things taken away. And I don't know if that was my case necessarily, but it did help me at the end of the day. I ended up getting out I ended up actually writing a story while I was in there, but I lost the papers after I got out. Excuse me. Yeah, I got really I've always been pretty lean and in shape because of my diet. If you don't know, I'm allergic to dairy, wheat, tree nuts, shellfish. There's a lot. The list goes on, but I mainly eat fruit, meats, and vegetables. It's just easier to tell you what I do eat than what I can't eat. Like I said, I kind of not started to get comfortable, but I started to get used to being in there. It's at the 2-week mark, and I get a call, and apparently I'm supposed to get out. And that was always the case. It was always supposed to be me getting out at 2 weeks, but I was lied to. I was told it would be a month and all this other stuff. Moral of the story: also, don't trust your public attorney. They do not have your best interest in mind. They work for the state, not you. Okay. I'm not a lawyer, also, so this is not legal advice. I think I have to say that legally. But this is not legal advice. I'm just telling you from my experience. They ain't trying to help you, big dog. They ain't. And maybe if you get a good one, maybe I met a guy who wanted to be a public attorney for that reason, because he was like, he don't want people to get screwed over like I did. So maybe there's some good ones out there. But I don't know if he was trying to be a public attorney, to be honest. Anyway, I'm all over the place. I'm just talking, bro. I'm just rambling like y'all the homies. I can't help myself. Look at that. I'm telling you, bro, you gotta know how to build a fire. It really makes a difference. This thing is so warm, I'm kind of getting hot right now. Yeah, I end up getting out in 2 weeks. And I go home. It's like, I think I got in there February 14th. So 2 weeks later, it was February 28th. Hip hip hooray, I got out. That's awesome. I go back to work the next day, I want to say March 1st. And then my little cousin passes away. The one I'm always wearing on my necklace. I actually lost it this past weekend. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I'm looking into getting a replacement. But it was a gift, so I know it won't be the same. But I mean, what can I do, man? I'm irresponsible. I'm sorry. But yeah, the one I always wear on my necklace and plenty of my older videos. Yeah, he passed away the day after I got out of jail. And if you can imagine the eye-opener, like the shock, like what is going on. Like I said, I guess like I'm trying to do right, bro. And then it's like I go to jail, and it's like, okay, whatever. I knocked that out, and I'm like, okay, we free. We finally free. And then that happens, and I'm like, bro, life is hitting me with the 1-2 right now. And that kind of sent me into like a slightly dark place, but like I said, it was also kind of like an eye-opener for me, and realizing that like tomorrow is not promised. Like as I also realized that's kind of stuff in jail, it's like kind of just went into one another. And yeah, I just realized, yeah, tomorrow's isn't promised. And from there, I made the plan to go to Texas and visit my mom, because she was living in Texas at the time. And I want to say when she broke that news to me, she was visiting in Alabama. But she went back to Texas, and I was like, you know what? Let me visit. I feel like that place would be awesome. I feel like it's a vacation all the time. So I went to visit. It was really cool. I loved it. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to move out here. I'm going to move to Texas with my madre. And we're going to go from there. And not move in. And yeah. How did I do it? I want to say me and my sister just started applying for apartments. While we were staying with my mom. And then we eventually got an apartment. Skedaddle. I went back to Alabama to clear out my things from my old apartment. And that's when I met my ex-girlfriend, who y'all have seen on the channel if y'all have watched like the videos from like 6 months ago plus. I know some people would delete their videos when they break up with someone, but unless she asked me to do that, I wouldn't delete them. I feel like it's important to know, like, where you came from and stuff like that. And to see, the whole journey. I don't think it's that cool to like only show y'all the good parts of the journey, I'm not saying that was a bad part, but I feel like y'all should see everything. I don't want to just pick and choose when y'all kind of get to see certain stuff. So yeah, we end up meeting in Alabama. We did work at Walmart together during the pandemic. And then we decided, and I was like, hey, I'm still going to Texas. I don't know if you want to tag along. And she was like, I never traveled, so let's go and let that adventure resume. Let that adventure happen. We lived in Texas for 8 months before we kind of had an issue with roommates. Yeah, so if I learned anything from being a young man, it's don't have roommates. Okay, I mean, roommates definitely would help you with costs and stuff, but people just don't have your mind, like people don't have your same priorities in mind unless you have like a twin or it's like a sibling. Even then, like a sibling, that can still be a slippery slope. I've heard plenty of stories. So I've learned that roommates are just not the way, for me at least. People just don't, like I said, they don't have the same like priorities and stuff you do. They don't do things like you do. They don't which they, as they shouldn't be like carbon copies. But it's like, people are just raised so differently, man. You're just better off not having a roommate. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about it, because I know it's like a hot take, I guess. But other than having roommates, and yeah, the roommate situation kind of fell out. And I was at this time, I had bounced around a lot of jobs, labor work. In Texas, I worked at AutoZone, and from AutoZone, I found a job working with a guy on the roof. I actually was, like I said, I used to do Walmart and DoorDash. Once I was in Texas, I was doing Shipped. I stopped working at AutoZone because this guy was kind of like bullying me, and the managers weren't doing anything about it. So, like I said, deuces, I'm out of there. I'm not. I know my worth. I'm not gonna let people treat me crazy. So, yeah, I end up doing Shipped Shopping, which is like a delivery service, grocery delivery, kind of like Instacart, grocery delivery. And I was making a good amount. I was making way more than AutoZone doing that. In certain places, you can make more doing delivery, like grocery delivery, than like certain jobs. So look into that. That's when I made a video a long time ago about how I make income on the road, and that was a lot of the ways doing stuff like that. And in doing that, I met a guy in a grocery store who was just another brother out there, and he let me know he worked on a roof and stuff. We traded numbers, and a few days later, I'm going to Texas City to go work on this roof. And so once I get there, I work on the roof, yada yada yada. Little time goes by, and the contractor guy who hired me ended up getting his truck repoed. And so he was on the job when it happened. And when he got it repoed, I took him home. I didn't have to, but I offered to take him home. Took him home, and I realized he lived in an RV, right? Oh my god. And he lived in an RV. And I asked him, I was like, yo, you live in there? And he was like, yeah, like I live in this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, can I look inside? And he showed me the inside. Obviously, he lived in it. It was messy. But I just couldn't believe he lived, like, it was bigger than like my apartment. Like, not bigger than my apartment, but like, I want to say more spacious. Like, we had a living room, but we never used. And we had our rooms. We were just isolated to our room. So low-key, he had more space than me. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like people get these big houses or all this stuff. You never really use a lot of the space for the most part. And seeing that, I was like, wait, people live in their RVs? And he was like, yeah, I pay $500 a month. For his site, he can always move it if he wanted to. And I was just like, bro, I'm paying $750 a month, I believe, for my apartment, and I can't move it. The people, the pest control and all that stuff, they don't do their jobs. And so I'm like, bro, why am I not doing this? So I go home, do a bunch of research, tell my girlfriend at the time, like, hey, this might be the move. Like, and you know what's crazy is living in Calera. If you look up Calera right now, you'll notice that they have RV dealerships. There's a Camping World in Calera, and I just didn't know that. Like, I was just blind to the information that, hey, wow. I was just blind to the information that, like, hey, there's RV people live in them. People are always like, yeah, I used to RV camp all the time as a kid. Well, good for you, bro. Good for you. I didn't even know that was like a thing. I didn't know they had toilets in them. Like, it's just crazy what you don't know if you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, knowledge really is power at the end of the day. Okay. I found out about that, and I'm just like, wow. Do a bunch of research. I'm a researcher, right? I'm like, I pour into things. I pour hours and hours into something once I find out about it. I have an addictive personality, so it kind of goes into that as well. And so I'm like, yeah, but I just have to do my research about this. And found a bunch of YouTube channels. Happily Ever Hanks, Fate Unbound were some big ones I watched. And I was just like, this is it. I could do this. We had a car. It was my girlfriend's car at the time. I had got into an accident in it. And so we were looking to sell it, because if we sold that, I had an Armada that I could pull an RV with. And so we got an offer. We were looking for the best offer, and we almost missed it. The first offer was the best offer, and we almost missed it trying to wait for other people, which I've learned is like how the car community or how the car stuff goes. Take your first offer if you feel like it's a good one, because it's usually downhill after that. No cap. It's a hot fire. It's all blue and stuff. Love to see it. So yeah, sold the car and start looking into RVs. It was a couple of dealerships near us in Texas, and we had $3,000 in cash. We ready to put down, finance, whatever, and do it like the normie way. We ready to do RV life the normie way. Let me check make sure I still got recording time. Okay, I got 4 minutes. We can work with that. And yeah, I get the RV. So yeah, we go to the dealership, and yeah, we have this cash in hand. We know like the percentages. For a used trailer, they want like 20%, 25% down. For a new trailer, they want like 10% down. And so regardless, I think 3K can cover it. There's a couple used ones for like 12, 9K, which 3K, if you do the math, that's 20%, at least. And the kicker is with, America, is we don't have credit history. We don't have any type of like credit history. I haven't like leased a vehicle or a house or anything. So they're pretty much like, hey, sorry, but the bank won't finance you for it because you don't have any like history saying that you can pay stuff back. And I'm like, well, this is whack, bro. And I get all discouraged. I'm like, boo. And I started looking around, eventually, like I said, I do more research. Marketplace. Okay, maybe I can find a little marketplace camper. Start searching. They move like hotcakes, bro. They sell like incredibly fast. Like, it's actually nutty how fast RVs move and get sold. Especially like I say, like used ones and stuff like that. It's nuts. Okay, like I said, that's kind of like that's where I reside in the whole RV life. Let's get down here. It's a little hot up there. I'm like the marketplace used crowd. You have your new dealership crowd. That's not me. Hopefully I'm still in shot. If I'm not, apologies. So yeah, so looking on marketplace, they're moving so fast. There's a couple of them where I literally have drove 30 minutes to an hour plus just to find out, hey, I just sold the RV. And it's like, bro, why you keep doing this to me? And so yeah, it was a hard search to get my first one, as like I said, I had no knowledge of like how to find them, how to sort through which ones were like legit, which ones were scams. There's a knowledge, like I said, knowledge is power. There's a lot of knowledge that comes into it, like everything. And then once you find that knowledge out, it's kind of like butter. So that was a struggle for the beginning, finding the RVs. And eventually one pops up in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and I'm like, no way. That's like what I want to say, like a 4-hour drive from where I was. But I was like, I have to. It just looked too. I think it was like $2,000, $2,200. Like I said, the whole plan was to spend about $2,000 to $2,500 on an RV that was, that actually could move, that was movable, and we would grab it, we would move it, and then we would take it to our RV job, which we already had one lined up in Florida. So I just had to get the RV, and all I had to do was get the RV. So we get this RV for $22. So we drive to Lake Charles. We spend the night there because we get there so late, the guy hasn't responded. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, don't tell me I drove all this way for nothing. I'm not about to get the RV, blah blah blah. And so it's like stressful. But I mean, I want to say I slept in a Walmart parking lot. We might have got a hotel room, one or the other, not too sure. Maybe a hotel room. And it's like, okay, whatever. Wake up the next morning, hitting the guy up, and he texts back, fly over there to get the RV. Keep in mind, I had bought all this stuff, wheel chocks, water filters, all this stuff. And I get there, the RV's there. Literally, as I'm talking to the guy, as I like shake the guy's hand, I'm like, hey, this nice RV, blah, blah, blah. Look inside. Someone else pulls up in the driveway to look at the RV. And so that's what I'm saying. They move so fast. Like, it's insane. Because people on Marketplace also like to give you the ring around. So people also, aren't really willing to like wait on responses. And so they're just like, whoever comes pick it up first is getting this bad boy. So you got to be on top of it. And yeah, I'm there. I'm like, okay, looking at the RV, everything looked good. Everything is okay. I mean, as good as it can get with like a 2007. They had a tree fall in the back corner at one point. But yeah, I mean, nonetheless, hey, it's an RV, bro. It's an RV. And so yeah, make the transaction, throw God the cash, and we're on our way. we hooked the RV up. I have a video. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. But the RV was sitting super unlevel. It was like at the hitch point, it was really bad. Like I said, I didn't understand like the whole math of like having your hitch and making it to where it can ride level and all this stuff. And so yeah, I ended up having to go and like buy 3 hitches and like return them until I got the right one with like no drop. I think I had to have like a straight shank versus like any drop, because anything I would do to like lower it or raise it, it was always just a little too much. So I needed a straight shank, which I figured out, like I said, by trial and error. If you watch the channel, you know trial and error is just how I have to do things. I don't know. I mean, I try to do like the whole measure twice, cut once, at least for stuff like that. But yeah, man, for me, it's mostly just trial and error. Trial and error. And yeah, it was a little struggle getting that together, but eventually we got the RV leveled to where I was comfortable enough driving it. And we had to go back to Texas to clear out the things out of our apartment that we were staying in before we bought the RV. Wow, that's crazy. It's actually too hot. Got a little inferno going here. This probably go all night. But yeah, got the RV, stayed in Lake Charles for a night, I want to say, at a Walmart that was right on the water. It was such a nice spot. And yeah, just slept there for one night and then headed back to Texas to get our things out of our apartment and, you know, handle that whole charade. And yeah, so we eventually get that whole debacle handled. And from there we take the RV up to my mom's. And she stays in Texas City, right next to a Buc-ee's at that time. And so we parked it at the Buc-ee's. Luckily, it didn't get towed. There was a sign right next to the RV, literally, that said, "You can't park overnight." But I'm just a dummy. I'm blonde. I didn't see it. And so I parked there. But I moved it the next day to the Texas City dike. And yeah, like I said, there's so many little adventures and little places where I stopped at. I wish I was doing YouTube at the time, but unfortunately I just wasn't really taking YouTube too seriously, and my phone was also very cracked at the time. My phone camera lenses were very cracked. And so yeah, there's so many little adventures. Maybe I'll get into them on a live stream or on the Patreon one day. But all in all, ended up in that RV, 2007 Keystone Hornet. Worked at so I got the RV and stayed with my mom, and we were getting ready to leave to go to Florida because, you know, like I said, we had a job lined up there. Well, we were in Texas, we took all the pictures for the RV, and the job in Florida told us, "Hey, we like you, you're a good guy, we would love to have you on the team, but unfortunately your RV is not up to our standards." So yeah, RVers can be very pretentious. Let me just tell you firsthand. Let me hit you with the cold water. They can be very uppity and pretentious. And so yeah, my RV with its little dent in the back was just not good enough for their RV park. And so because of that, I was pretty much scrambling to figure out where to go next. And I was putting out applications everywhere. There's RV groups. There's a whole lot of things once you get into the lifestyle to figure out how to get a job. And yeah, eventually a job in Georgia reached out, and they were interested in having us. And so we go out to Georgia. And at that Jellystone is my first RV job. My first work camping job. I end up getting Employee of the Month after only being there for 1 month, and after only working a work camping job for 1 month. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool to see. Like I say, know your worth. And yeah, I worked there for a couple of months, and eventually a guy who has an LLC, he owns some land in Alabama. He comes through with his kids, sees the job I'm doing, and he's like, "I really like your enthusiasm. I like your work ethic. Maybe come check out my land, and I can, like, you know, give you a job offer, or like see where your head's at." And so I go out there and look at his land. I don't immediately jump on it, even though I want to, you know, out of respect for my current work camping job and stuff like that. I want to make sure I do things the correct way. And so before I want to go there, I asked them for a raise because I do love my job working at the RV park. I'm like, hey, you guys give me a raise, then everything will be all gravy. I can stay, I'll stay. I don't mind it. But they drug their feet on it. It was a whole thing of like, hey, we'll let you know. It was like, hey, we'll let you know. We'll ask corporate. I'll get back to you. And like I keep saying, moral of the story, know your worth, man. And after they drug their feet on that, I realized that probably will not be happening. So, yeah, we went ahead and put in our 2-week notice and got ready to go to the farm. Ended up going to the farm. He offered us $1,200 a week, and I think I was making like $700 to $800 every 2 weeks working at the RV park because it covered our spot too. So us actually working some of our hours went into our RV site. And so yeah, like I said, every 2 weeks I was making less than I was going to be making a week at the farm. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Like I said, know your worth. I was like, hey, that's my worth right there. And all he wanted us to do was kind of feed some animals. And he kind of liked my vision. I'm very good at seeing the vision and seeing the opportunity at a place. And so yeah, he kind of just wanted me for that. I can see things and be like, try this, try that. I think outside the box, obviously. That's kind of what YouTubers do. If you're ever kind of good at YouTube, that's usually why you think outside the box. You have a very creative way of thinking and doing things. So yeah, worked there. Everything was going really good. It was some really great fishing on the land. It was really fun. Only thing was the guy who was training me was very Alabama Southern. He had to constantly belittle me, degrade me, and let me know how I don't know anything. And keep in mind, I agree. I know I don't know anything. Like, I know I'm young, blah blah blah. But it's just like the constant reminder of like, hey, you don't know anything. I'm trying to learn you something. And it's like, okay, bro, like, beat it down my throat, why don't you? Like, beat the dead horse 10 times over. Every day. And keep in mind, like I said, the way I think, I'm just kind of an innovator. I think outside the box. I do things a little differently. But his way had to be the right way. Even if my way worked, it wasn't right because it wasn't his way. And I can kind of put up with stuff like that for a certain amount of time, for the time being. But my partner at the time just could not. It was just too much. And don't get me wrong, it is a lot of mental stress. I definitely get that. And so we ended up leaving after 1 month. 1 month there, we ended up leaving. And from there, we go to the beet harvest. And I have a video about the beet harvest as well on the channel. We ended up going to the beet harvest, staying there, working the beet harvest for a while. Beet harvest is cool. There's plenty of videos about it if you're interested in it. Working like ground crew and stuff. Like I said, I also have a video on the channel talking about the beet harvest to a degree, the ground crew. We worked that for about, I want to say, a week before we ended up leaving the beet harvest as well. I don't want to get into why we left the beet harvest because that reason is a little personal. But it was just kind of drama stuff, relationship drama stuff. And so the beet harvest was kind of like, all right, let's just cut our losses and leave. And that's what we did. And we were trying to make it to my mom in Texas. Let's see. How did this go? Okay, no, so I had my we had my stuff set up, so we ended up leaving the beet harvest, I think, before we even got like our first paycheck. And so what ended up happening was we sold the RV to try to get to Texas where my mom was. And so halfway down, so we sold the RV and then we got a pop-up camper. Excuse me. We take it down, we get to Texas. No, I want to say we sold it in North Dakota. Sold our RV in North Dakota. And then flew down to Texas. And then got a pop-up camper. Not flew down, but we drove down to Texas. Ended up getting a pop-up camper just to stay in while we were down there. Kind of ended up getting stuck up in Amarillo, Texas for a little bit. I can't keep in mind, I can't remember all the details. A lot of things usually turn out to me planning to go work somewhere and then it not panning out that way, or a job not panning out. And so, you know, but we ended up with a pop-up camper in Amarillo, Texas, Canyon, I think Canyon or Canyon City, Texas area, the Panhandle. And like I said, we had a pop-up, eventually sold the pop-up there as well, so we had money to get farther south. So we sold that, started to run south, farther south of Texas. Keep in mind, just driving through Texas, it's 10 hours from like the very north to the bottom. So yeah, I had to that's what we did. Sold that, started going down towards to Texas City, to where my mom was again. Ended up staying with her for a while. We ended up making it to her, stayed there for a while. And yeah, so we ended up staying in Texas City for a while. And I started looking for jobs with housing, because if you're keeping up, at this point, we don't have an RV. It's just my Nissan Armada, and that's it. And at this point, also, I don't want to, the Armada is having issues, so I don't want to drive it, and I don't want to keep putting money into it. So I found a job with housing. And the job with housing is a Jellystone Park in Estes Park, Colorado. I'm going to be making a review video about that work camping job eventually. I do those, like, it's called Where We Work Camp. Like I said, I have a video about that as well, talking about work camping and what is that segment. But yeah, I ended up looking into those jobs. We ended up getting that job for housing. They were offering us to stay in one of their RVs they had on property, because the previous owners, I believe, or previous work campers had left RVs there. So it lined up perfectly. So after a couple of months of living with my mom, we flew out to Colorado, Estes Park. We flew out to Denver. We got a shuttle. Like I said, this is all in a video, by the way. We got into a shuttle. We ran down to Estes Park. I keep saying ran down. We got shuttled to Estes Park, and from there we just started working at the park, the campground. We had people who offered to give us rides and stuff down the mountain to get groceries and all that cool stuff. So it was a pretty cool place, pretty decent place. This wind is kind of crazy. But it was, yeah, we worked at Estes Park for a while. Pretty cool place. Eventually, I saved up enough money to get my truck. And a couple at the campground upgraded to a 28-foot RV. Because they had like 5 kids, 2 adults, and like a 22-foot RV. Pretty much the same size as mine. So imagine that. 7 people in my RV is nutty. And so, yeah, that's how they were living. They upgraded. We got their RV. And I was training my supervisor at that camp. Like, I don't want to get too into detail because I want to make a video about this. But pretty much I was training my supervisor at that campground, and someone still got promoted over me. So at that point, I decided, yeah, I'm not staying here. It's time for me to go. And for anybody watching, if you actually made it to this point, like for real, because we probably deep in the video. If you made it to this point and you're probably thinking, like, I just keep quitting. I never quit without very much thinking about pros and cons, planning out the future, and like I said, knowing my worth, knowing if my worth is being valued. And like I said, when I realized I was training my supervisor, I had all these good reviews at the campground, and then somehow someone else still got promoted over me. That same meeting, that same day, I told him it was my day to go. I was putting in my 2 week, or I think you only had to give like a 2 or 3 day notice, like 48 hours. I put that in. I was like, hey, I'll be leaving in 48 hours. That's it. It's pretty much that simple. And yeah, I started packing things up. Started packing things up and left. From there, well, I wanted to say it was like June or July. When was it? I want to say it was around July. The plan was to kind of like hang out in Colorado until it got closer to beet harvest time, and then go to the beet harvest and, you know, continue life from there. Well, we stayed at a campground for like, I want to say I paid for like a month at a campground, maybe just a week or 2, but ended up staying at the campground for a little bit and wanted to. While I was at that campground, I also did a RV flip. There's a video of that on the channel, we're getting into the point of where I was actually doing YouTube videos, because I started doing them after Estes Park pretty consistently. And I did a video where I flipped the camper, all this cool stuff at the time, and pretty much like just doing what I had to do to make ends meet. Eventually, I realized that it's too expensive to stay where I was staying in Colorado, and it kind of just come down to heading to North Dakota, because otherwise I would have to go the opposite direction into Colorado just to leave out eventually. And so I already had my harvest host, and I was just like, let's just bounce there and have a little adventure. I probably should have or could have worked more into the city and stuff and eventually left later. But you know, life does what it does. Decisions are made for a reason. And I think it was the summertime in Colorado, so it's pretty much super hard to get anywhere to stay at, like campground wise. Most places don't do weekly or monthly, so I'm gonna do that or like BLM land. And the RV is not equipped to boondock. That one was not equipped to boondock, so that wasn't an option. And so yeah, at that point I think I decided that maybe we should downsize so we can make it to North Dakota and not go broke in the process paying for gas money. And so we trade for a pickup camper. And like I said, there's videos of this. You can we end up in a pickup camper, and we drive up to North Dakota in the pickup camper, which is, you know, really cool. I have to make sure there's no ticks on me, bro, because apparently there was a tick crawling on me earlier. And yeah, we head to North Dakota in the pop-up camper, which is like super cool. And we eventually get to North Dakota. We're up there waiting on the beet harvest to start, and I'm just, like, again, just trying to make ends meet, just trying to survive until the beet harvest starts. We got there about a month early, and so yeah, just doing what we can, penny pinching, saving, and yeah, eventually the beet harvest does start. But well, I'm trying to work in the meantime to keep, like I said, keep food on the table, keep supplemental income. There was some miscommunication, and we didn't know when our soft start was, which is like training for the beet harvest. So we missed our soft start, and because of that, they fired us. Just right out, missed the soft start, fired out of there. And that was like a shock. It was like, bro, what? And so I'm like, okay, maybe I can work, do this, do that, whatever. It's okay. And then the roof of my camper gets ripped off, and yeah, hopefully I have some video from that. The roof of my camper just literally gets ripped off like a sardine can. And so at that point, I'm really just at a loss. I don't know what to do. Struggling. So I end up sleeping in my truck. We end up staying at a Walmart, sleeping in the truck for a while, just trying to figure things out. I made a GoFundMe for the YouTube. Had a lot of people who actually supported and got me through that time. Straight up fed me when I was living in my truck. So I really appreciate those people. From there, someone I met at the beet harvest the year prior, they told me, hey, you can drive a truck for the beet harvest. Like, you don't even need a CDL. Here's the website for you to contact the farmers, and, you know, hopefully, you know, good luck. Let me know what you find. And that's Cameron Loth, I believe. And yeah, bro, you clutch. You saved my life at that time. I don't know if he's watching this, probably not, but yeah, he literally gave me the advice to drive a truck for the beet harvest, and that literally saved me. So I drove a truck for the beet harvest. Really quick process into getting the starting. I'm gonna make a video later this year about that when the beet harvest is about to start again. But ended up getting in touch with a farmer, which was super cool. Got in touch with the farmer. He told me to come out to the land. It rained a couple days, so I didn't get to go out there right away. But you know, everything happens in due time. So eventually I get out there to the land. We started driving. You drive 10 days straight, 12-hour shifts. And I think there was a few more days, but again, relationship drama. It was like I said, if you ever watch that video of like the solo life adjustment and stuff, I kind of touched on a little bit of it, kind of vaguely. Like I say, it's kind of personal, but yeah, just relationship drama stuff kind of came into it again at that point, right towards the end. And so I decided it's best for me not to be driving like a 40-ton death machine while I have like relationship problems on my mind. You know, I know the old heads are like, suck it up, young blood. But it's like, nah, bro. I realized that I wasn't stopping on time. I was about to run stop signs in this thing, and it wasn't the way to go. So, I called it early, got my check, and again, I was still living in my truck. But the farmers will put you in a hotel room or put you at a campground if you have an RV. So yeah, we were staying at a hotel. After that, we leave the hotel, get my check, and I found this RV, this beauty. It is 1979 Vagabond, as you've been seeing me renovate for these past few months. And I got it for 1,000 bucks, 1,000 buckaroonies cash. I know people are like, how you do that? I'm telling you, if you want the sauce, I think I'm gonna do all that kind of stuff. I think I'm gonna make those videos in the Discord about like. I don't know if y'all just saw that. That just hit me. I think I'll make those videos in the Discord about like how to live RV life with the tips and stuff. Because I feel like on YouTube people don't really care about that. But who knows? Let me know in the comments if y'all actually do want to see a video about that kind of stuff. But I got this one for $1,000 cash, and I got it at $1,000 cash in Minnesota. And from Minnesota, I was gonna go to Colorado, drive more trucks, or do the same exact thing, because there's a couple beet farms in Colorado. I was going to drive a beet truck in Colorado when I got here, save a little bit more cash, and then I was going to go to Arizona or just go farther down into the south. Who knows? It was a lot of plans. I was supposed to, at the time in my relationship, we actually had pretty much already broken up and we're just like roommates. So I was supposed to drive the trucks and use that money to get her a car. Like I said, it was all over the place, dude. It was all over the place. And, yeah, pretty much when I got to Colorado, the truck broke down. And so I just had to park and figure something out. And so I was parked in Brush, Colorado for a couple of months. Staying at a Memorial Park and stuff. Hanging out there, doing that, just surviving. You realize a lot of RV life just come down to living, surviving, being alive, and existing. And yeah, living in the moment, existing. I was raking yards and stuff, trying to make supplemental income, as I keep saying. And yeah, did that for a couple of months. And eventually, the Memorial Park I was staying at, the code enforcement was like, hey, you gotta leave. I think 2 weeks was the maximum, and I've definitely overstayed my welcome. So nothing against them. Eventually, so when they told me that, I was like, hey, I'll hook up and leave tomorrow. Like, instantly. I just need to get gas money in my truck. I want to say like my dad or something sent me gas money to put in my truck, and I ended up just headed. I want to say I was headed to my next possible job location, because I wanted to just be in the city for when the spring started. And that day at a Love's truck stop, I was just waiting, figuring out maps, what I was going to eat and stuff. The manager of the park I'm at now calls me and like, hey, I need some help. I would really appreciate it. Like, I'm drowning right now. Pretty much I'm drowning right now. And I'm like, perfect. Like I said, it always works out. It's so crazy. Like, anybody who's scared to do RV life, I promise you, it's not that scary. Like, no. Anybody who's thinking about doing RV life, I promise you, it'll always work out. It might seem impossible. It might literally seem like impossible. But it's gonna work out, bro. At the end of the day, it just does. If you have a little bit of faith, a little bit of optimism, it will work out. Sorry I'm moving so much. This fire is literally cooking me like a basted turkey. It's crazy. Hope y'all enjoying the fire though. Let me know. What would you rate the fire 0 to 10? Let me know. Pretty decent, I think. I think it was pretty one of my more decent ones. And yeah, so I ended up coming here, driving up a mountain with my RV leaf springs, detached equalizers hanging on by a thread, just horrible. But I made it here. Started working, started trying to do my thing. Like I said, know your worth. Started doing my thing, putting that Lil Carl touch on stuff, and eventually got promoted. So I've been promoted. It's really cool. That's why I've been like so busy, bro. Like, I'm recording this video a day before it's supposed to be posted, and it's just so much on my plate right now, man. But I'm trying to keep up. I swear I'm trying to keep the content coming, trying to keep good, solid content coming. I hope y'all are actually enjoying it. But yeah, I ended up here, and now I'm here. Maybe I skipped over a lot of things, maybe not. If I did, you can ask me in some live streams going forward. But yeah, it's pretty much the journey until how I got here. Yeah, I feel like I've been talking to. Low-key feel like I haven't said anything, but I know I've been talking about something important. So weird stuff. Hopefully y'all enjoyed, man. Hopefully y'all learned something about me. If y'all want to tell me anything about y'all selves in the comments, it'd be greatly appreciated. It makes it not so weird. It makes it feel like y'all are more people and not a number on a screen, you know? So yeah, I love getting to know y'all. I really appreciate y'all. If y'all want to support me in any kind of way, all of my links will be in the description below. I really appreciate it. The Discord, the PayPal, the Cash App, the wish list to get me parts for the RV renovation. All that good stuff in the description. I really appreciate you. Always remember, where there's a will, there's a way. That's why we're called the Waymakers. I love y'all. That's all for me today. RV away. Out.